Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today I am joined by Tianna Trinidad. She is a former bedside nurse, just like me, who turned her personal strategy, a devastating 6-month pregnancy loss, into a mission to help other women take control of their hormonal health. She is the founder of Loved, Served, Warm and the creator of the signature Healthy PCOS Protocol, a transformative program designed to address hormonal imbalances, weight management, and fertility struggles. Through her work, Tianna has empowered countless women to find balance and confidence in their health using her proven 3Ps framework focused on periods, pounds, and pregnancy. So today we are going to be talking all things PCOS. And Tianna, I would love for you to kick us off and just kind of tell us what PCOS is and what symptoms someone might be experiencing along with PCOS.
Absolutely. So PCOS is a collection of hormonal imbalances. So people or women specifically without PCOS can experience some of similar symptoms. It makes it PCOS when there is a unique collection of hormonal imbalances. The number one, um, the number one symptom of women with PCOS, although you would think it's polycystic ovaries due to the name, it's actually menstrual dysfunction. So 80% of women with PCOS suffer with some sort of menstrual irregularity, which for a lot of women can look like a regular period that comes every single month. However, you're just not ovulating with that cycle despite bleeding every month. So on the outside, you are convinced that everything is normal, everything is going great and according to plan. But on the inside, you've got hormonal devastation as a result or as a consequence of your body not ovulating.
Sure. So, what would you say is typical, like how women find this out that they have it? Because, like you said in the beginning, and outwardly it appears that everything is normal and you think that you're functioning just fine. So, how is it that women typically find out that they have PCOS?
It's a great question. So there's two ways, unfortunately. The first is usually women find out when it's time to conceive. It's usually a very popular time that women find out because it's usually the time where they're ready to detox off of the birth control and prepare for pregnancy. And
Mhm.
usually around that time, they realize when they got off of the birth control that it was not the plan of treatment that it was promised to be, and that their symptoms kind of if not come back, some of them find that the cycle never regulates itself after they come off of the pill. So that's the first instance. The second one, I think, is a little bit more common. It's the woman who maybe doesn't go to have a baby right away, right? She's a busy, she's high achieving woman, but she starts to internalize her symptoms, right? She's the woman who says, I'm just lazy. I just need a nap every day. I don't know what is going on with me. Like every day I need a nap to make it through the day. She's the woman who tells herself, I'm intermittent fasting. That's why I don't eat breakfast in the morning. When the reality is that your cortisol level is so high in the morning, your body can't tell the difference between your alarm clock or you running from a bear. Therefore, there's no hunger present because you are running on the stress hormones that morning,
Mhm.
right? Um, Weight gain, right? A lot of women think that as women get older, they naturally get larger. So women don't begin to question when they start to pack on weight, despite them not making any dietary changes. And it's not until the weight gain becomes to get excessive that women are like, hold on, I'm still eating right. I'm moving, I'm active. I don't know what is going on with the weight, right? And these are just some instances, although they can be unique to the woman experiencing them and they won't show up the same with everyone. These are just examples of some of the common ways that women experiencing hormonal imbalances secondary to PCOS, and they don't attribute it to PCOS because I don't believe that there's just enough education or support at this time to even begin to understand if you could potentially be affected.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so I'm thinking of women that, maybe they have an inkling that they're having some of these symptoms, or maybe they have noticed because maybe they're trying to conceive or preparing for that, and they're doing maybe ovulation tests at home and they're realizing that they're not ovulating. As someone is preparing to like approach this conversation with a provider or their doctor, What things do you feel like they need to kind of go in prepared with? Is it to have this conversation? Is it that they need to do some ovulation tracking themselves at home before they go have the conversation with the provider? Or what should they really like expect when they go in and talk with the provider about this?
That's a great question. I do, I do not recommend ovulation tracking for the beginner. And the reason why I say this is because I believe that women without PCOS can track their ovulation through ovulation kits at home. But
Uh-huh.
the issue falls here. Ovulation kits are measuring a surge in a particular hormone to identify if ovulation is present. Now, with women with PCOS who suffer from hormonal imbalances on a regular and suffer from hormonal fluctuations on a regular, this can cause a situation where the kit reports back a positive ovulation when ovulation has not taken place because of the high hormone that was present,
Mhm.
right? And it can cause fluctuations, which would tell a woman that she's ovulating when she's not. And the reason why I feel so strongly about this is because this can cause some issues with a woman's kind of mental health when she believes that she is doing everything right. She believes that she has all of the support that she needs, and she later learns that she didn't, and she was operating from a place of just not knowing enough, right? Um, All right, so that's the first thing. And the second thing is a lot of doctors don't know enough about PCOS nowadays, right? So this looks like statistics is showing that most women average 5 different physicians and an average of 5 to 10 years before they finally get the diagnosis that they want. And I believe that's a little bit too long to wait for a diagnosis when PCOS turned into type 2 diabetes by age 40 for
Mhm.
about 50% of women diagnosed, right? So I believe that time where you are kind of like scraping for a diagnosis could really take away time that you needed to support your symptoms. So I believe that women should look up the criteria for PCOS, right? It doesn't involve any blood work. It's very simple. It's 3 things, right? And you have to have 2 out of the 3 things that fit the criteria.
Mhm.
One is a regular period. 2 is signs of increased male androgens, right? So just those 2 can give you a PCOS diagnosis. But the third one, and a little less common, is polycystic ovaries diagnosed by ultrasound,
Mhm.
right? So the first thing is we want to be clear, right? Once I feel like you are clear, even if you are receiving resistance from your medical healthcare team, I would begin to finding natural ways that I could begin to support myself, right? And inositol, the #1 research PCOS supplement worldwide with no reported side effects. And I would begin to slowly implement some of these things into my life. Right. And then trying to quantify and pivot based on how they make me feel and how my hormones respond to them.
Absolutely. I think that's a big missing piece in women's health in general is just guiding women and encouraging women to really tune in to what is going on with your body. How do you feel when you start a new habit or a new supplement? What changes do you notice? Because, as you previously mentioned, so many things are so individualized that blanket recommendations are a great place to start sometimes, but you really do have to tune into your own body and the own like fluctuations you notice in not just your female hormones, but your mood and your, I don't know, outlook, mindset all throughout the month because this stuff all impacts it's like a cycle. It all impacts one another. It feeds off one another. And I do think there's so much value in just really learning yourself so that you can better advocate for yourself too. Because, I do think sometimes there is a lot of, I don't know if blame is the right word, but that's the word that's coming to mind right now. Blame that's put on physicians and providers that they're not doing enough or they're not guiding us in the right ways. And I do think there's validity in that for sure. But I also think that we can't just put the full responsibility on them. We have to take the ownership and we have to really own the fact that we know ourselves better than anyone else does. Um,
Yeah, I'll take it even a step further. And I want to say that what's happening is manufactured, right? It's like we're so busy. we're so busy, we're so overstimulated that I don't believe that there is even the time, right, for most women who don't have like the common knowledge to even create the space, right? And I feel like then you go to the doctor and their whole thing is to gaslight you and to create a generational consumer who's stuck on pharmaceutical medications that create side effects for every medication, right? And it becomes this vicious cycle where you really never get off of, right? And so I feel like that's so important to state because there is a lot of self-blame when it comes to PCOS. And one of the things I say the most is until you make the unknown known, it will rule your life and you will call it fate, right? How many personality traits are you saying that it's just the way I am? I'm just moody. I'm just get like that, right?
Yeah.
Or you may start to feel like you and your spouse are roommates, right? I love him, I just don't have the desire. I
Ugh,
just don't have is that really you communicating? Or are your hormones tanking so that you can't feel the desire, even if you wanted to feel the desire, right? And this is why it's so important because we don't want to make decisions from that place of not truly understanding what our body is trying to communicate with us.
yeah. It's such a good call out. I totally agree. So I know that, one of the things you mentioned, as far as like things women can do, actions that they can take, was the inositol. Do you want to expand on that any further? You may or may not. But then also, like, is there anything else you feel like women that maybe they are meeting some resistance from getting a diagnosis? Maybe they don't even care about that part of it. Maybe they tune in well enough to their own body and they know like something is off. I think I have PCOS because I've looked at the guidelines. What are some things that they can do?
Yeah. The first thing I think that women should do is start to systematize their symptoms, right? Are you experiencing certain symptoms? When do you experience a symptom, right? I think as a woman who is neurodivergent, that pattern recognition has been a gift to me, right? As I'm coached so many women, because I'm able to find the patterns within them. I'm able to say, wait a minute, you're having diarrhea, stomach issues. When did we start the supposit? When did we start the probiotics? It might have been one of the strains, right? It's also a reason why I don't recommend going crazy on a TikTok shop and buying 10 different supplements or buying, this is the other one that I'm really passionate about, proprietary blends.
Yeah.
Like this has 5 supplements in it. We don't know how much of each one. Take the whole thing and pray one works for you.
Yeah.
It's like, can we understand the source? Can we understand the dosage? Right? When it comes to PCOS, I believe in nothing more than a 1% change daily because I believe that women with PCOS are a special individual group of women who are women who, and this is in my experience, right, as a coach, but women who truly pour into people until they have no capacity left, right? And then they don't have anyone else to pour back into them because the capacities that they poured into don't have the capacity to fill them back up, right? Women with PCOS are usually like caregivers, usually people who care for other people, and what happens is that they physically exhaust themselves, right? So when it comes to having to try to reverse these PCOS symptoms, I'm very careful and very mindful of the advice that I give women with PCOS, knowing that they're the caregivers of society,
Yeah.
knowing that they're the ones who are going to constantly put themselves last and put other people first, right? And so in knowing that about the community that I serve, right, I only request a 1% change every single day because I feel like anything else sounds like Mount Everest. Right. And the
Yeah.
minute that you hit a spot of resistance, you're going to tumble back down to the starting place. But instead, if we created just a 1% change every single day in your life, what will happen is we will create a natural consequence of healing that you don't even know when it starts snowballing. Right. So what that looks like is like, if you love Coke, can we have Diet Coke? Can we try to have like, I'm not saying it's not all or nothing, right? But can the changes be so small and gradual that they're so easy to do, right? You don't have to, people say, "Oh, do I go vegan?" I say, no. How about like meatless night Mondays? right? We do it at my house. We do meatless Mondays. We're not vegan by any sense, but we do try to make plant the majority in our lives, right? We do try to the smallest changes. I replace my coffee with a mushroom, right? A mushroom extract that has a little bit of caffeine. It assists me. So it's just, I just want to be really clear. Women with PCOS can feel like, oh my God, I have to like re-change my whole life. And I really want to flip the narrative on that. It gets to be easy. It gets to be the smallest changes that you do daily that snowball into a natural consequence of healing,
Mhm.
right? And that will look unique for everyone, right? That looks very different for everyone. But what I can say is that in my 12-week coaching program, I'll start with clients who are like so rigid to change. And by the 12th week, they're like, can you give me that tofu recipe that you where can I locate that again, right? And the transformation and growth is so beautiful when it happens naturally,
Yeah.
right? And I'll
So,
say one more thing. When the egg cracks from within, life begins. But when the egg cracks from the outside, life ends, right? And you truly have to create this transformation in a way that feels unique and authentic to the person. And I feel like that's the magic. That's when it happens, that's when it stays, and that's when it gets to be consistent.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I know, I think that you have a resource that you would like to share with the audience, that can kind of be a place for someone to get started.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would love to offer a 1 hour PCOS and PCOS consultation to anyone really struggling with their PCOS symptoms and not knowing what the next move to be. This would be a great opportunity to learn about how I could support you and what you're experiencing. And if at the end of that call you feel like you would like an option to work with me, we can also discuss those options on the call. But overall, it's a no pressure opportunity to truly dive deep and understand what is going on with your PCOS and what are the ways that you can manage it naturally.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that we get that linked in the show notes for everybody. Again, thank you so much, Tianna, for joining me. I really appreciated this conversation, and I enjoyed it. I think that the listeners are really going to enjoy it, and I will talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.